Good afternoon, everyone. It is very nice to be live right now and it to be like kind of chill. Like that's nice. Not everything has to be super duper serious anymore. Um, and that's what we're gonna do. We're here with Gray, and if you didn't watch last night, spoiler alert: Gray won the game last night, which I think a lot of us are still processing because so much happened. Like, if you haven't watched the finale, two things: one, go ahead and go watch it. It's a lot of fun. It's our best finale. Or watch this first and then wait like a little while. And I am almost done with kind of the edited version of the finale, which will be just a little shorter. The good and bad thing about last night's finale is that it was so jam packed that I didn't have to cut a whole lot. And so I have most of the finale edited down, and during the reading of the votes, I have the voting videos alongside, so you can see who voted for who. You can see kind of what they talked about and all those things in those videos. I think they're really fun. And so today, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna kind of chat through this whole game and talk to Gray about how this happened, how we got to the point from 21 days ago or 22 days ago. We started this game with 18 people, and by the end of it, we ended up with just one, and it is Gray. And Gray, how are you feeling today? How'd you wake up this morning? Did you like wake up and be like, "Oh yeah, that happened"?
I woke up and it was kind of like a little bit of PTSD. It was like day one all over again because you had added us back to like the like Big Brother Hometowns 8 like reunion chat. So it was like everyone that started the game together, and I woke
Yep.
up with like 50 notifications on my phone, and so I was like, "Oh God, it's happening again."
Stop, who's
um,
HOH?
yeah, I was like, "Who are we voting for?" It's definitely like I woke up and was just kind of still like the same way I was whenever I went to bed last night, which was like, did that just happen? Like, there's no way.
It, yeah, I mean, I hate to tell you guys this in the viewing party that you're watching, but I root for people. I'm not biased. I am biased. I am definitely biased. I'm not biased in my hosting. That is very much fair. So please apply to play this very fair game. But I have rooting interest, and I couldn't help but root for Gray for a lot of the game because we're friends, and that helps. But also just really love the game he played. So we're gonna kind of go through it. We're gonna start at the beginning and talk his way through. We may even talk a little bit about season two and kind of how that impacted his game, which definitely had an impact for sure.
Yeah.
And talk about the decisions he made. So let's actually start there because that's really the beginning. Your season two game impacted the way you played this game. How and why?
So season two, when the game started, I knew half the people in the house because it was like still early on, like Josh was building like there wasn't even like a viewing party yet. Like Josh was still like building this like fan base and everything. And so I knew half the people, and I had an alliance with like those people. And then within that, I had like a smaller alliance of like a group of people that me and Josh went to Thailand with. And we were like, we're going to be the top five. Like, we're going to easily take out everyone, and like, no one's going to know about this. And so I won the second HOH, and like, one of the guys in our alliance, like, we knew his name's Greg Wells. He won season 5. We knew that he was going to like blow things up and like end up telling everyone that we all knew each other. And so I orchestrated this like massive like backdoor of Greg, like second round of the game. It was like a unanimous vote out. And I like didn't think anything of it because I was like, everyone here has my back. And then a little bit later, Connor, who played this game, he won HOH for the first double eviction and like put up like 3 people in my alliance, and one of them won veto, and like I convinced him to put up someone else that wasn't in our alliance, and then we saved the person in our alliance that we wanted to keep working with. And so it just completely like blew up Connor's plan. And so that was another time where like I orchestrated something. And so it was like we got down to the jury, and I got put up on the block by Greg because he won the battle back. And like it was the round of 8, so you only needed 3 votes for a majority, and I thought I had that. And then like my like closest ally in the game was Justin Brock, and he like flipped his vote to vote me out because I was a threat, like right, like I had orchestrated these 2 like major moves. And so coming into this game, like I knew that had happened before, and I was like, I can't play that same game right out the gate as I did last time. Like I can make big moves like that, but I have to wait until like after the jury starts to even start thinking about moves like that. And so,
Before you get too far, I want to even back up like a little bit. When and how did you decide that that you wanted to play again? Because I feel like that was kind of a big thing for you too.
yeah. Um, so after the first time playing, like I thought that I could win the first time, and I was like kind of like upset that I didn't like get a chance to like win. Like literally my first time going on the block in the first game, I got voted out. And so part of me wanted to play again, but didn't. I just didn't want to go through like the like having my phone beside me all the time and like answering people's messages and like really just like being fake to people, like because that's like something like I'm not like that in my real life, like but in this game I felt like there were times where like you have to have a conversation with someone and act like you're interested in something when you're not, but you're just trying to like build a relationship with someone. So what made me decide to play this game again was Josh had played Sequester, and I didn't watch him the first time. I had something going on. But then I watched him the second time, and I got like really into Sequester. And then like it's become a thing where like every like Friday and Saturday night, like me and Josh will like text each other, and like we're up at the same time like watching Sequester, and like we would just be like chatting about it. And I think it was like after Josh's second time playing, I like really liked the person that won that time and like the way they played. And I was like, you know what, like I can do this again. Like I'll give it one more shot. And basically I was like, Josh, I'll do it again. But after this, I need you to come up with a game like Sequester that's just like one night, because I can't do it. Like this like might be my last like 22-day like thing that I can do. I don't know if I have the endurance to do another like long-term game.
Until there's an all-winter season.
Max is already pre-gaming.
I am. I'm ready. I've retired from Big Brother Hometowns playing until that season. So
Max, when that happens, like me, you, and Sarah Flanagan, can we have like the poker alliance?
See, like now it's already on the open, and also like everybody wants to make a pregame alliance. So yeah, I'll make a final two with you, Greg. Whatever you
want. So you enter the game. Let's go. Let's just get to day 0. So we enter the game, and we kind of had a little Sequester twist, and we had the rooms. What first impressions of the people? Your room, if I remember correctly, was you, Thomas Gray, you're Gray, you, Thomas Quinn, Alex, and Daryl. So you had 3 returners in there, which you knew that. I guess everyone knew that at that point. What was the impressions? What bonds did you make? How did you start that game on day 0?
I was happy that we were in the rooms because I felt like the rooms were going to play like a really big, like crucial role in the season, and the fact that there were 3 returners in there, I felt like Sarah. So the fact that there were 3 returners in there, I felt like the 3 of us knew that like alliances are important. So like I think all 3 of us knew like we need this room, like because this isn't an opportunity for us to like stick strong and get through the first part of this game together. And all 5 of us made the jury, so that I mean it worked. But my initial reaction was I obviously had seen Thomas play before. I was a really big fan of Thomas's game. I think that Thomas is like literally one of the nicest people that I've never met because I haven't got to meet him yet in person. But Thomas was like so kind, and I was like, he's someone I want to work with. Quinn was one of those people where I was like, I want to work with Quinn, but I know that like if I want to win, like Quinn can't make it like deeper than like top 7.
That's why I feel like Quinn never. Like he always starts at a disadvantage because he has this reputation.
Yeah.
And like people like you know that.
Yeah. Like for Quinn to win, he's gonna have to play in a season that's just like he's the only returner. Like so yeah, I like knew that I wanted to work with Quinn too. And then like I just had like really good vibes from Alex, of course. Like, I mean, who didn't at the beginning of the game, especially like for the first 2 weeks of the game, really? Like, Alex was like close with everyone. But I knew that the way he was talking to me, he had to have been talking to everyone like that because like he's good at this game. But I also knew that like if we rode this room 4 thing, then like we could make it to where like we're a duo throughout this, and that's like what I wanted. And so, because we really were like Wendell and Dom, like the whole season, like it was like there was a lot of strategy that the two of us talked about together, and like a lot of game plans that happened that was the two of us together. And so, yeah, and then of course Daryl, like I had good vibes from him, so I kind of felt like I was in this like middle section because I like had this feeling that Thomas and Quinn were going to be close because I knew Thomas was Max's best friend, and then I knew that the two newbies would stick together. So I kind of felt like I was like in that position where if it had been like a tribal and like we had to vote one of us out, like if this was Survivor, that I would have been the swing vote, which felt like good.
Yeah. So we come out of that, and Matt wins the first HOH. Is there any thing interesting from your perspective, and maybe avoiding the block, talking to Matt, any relationship you started? I mean, he obviously the interesting thing about that situation was he was voted HOH unanimously, which is interesting because he has to evict somebody ultimately.
Yeah, that was around where I really had to trust Daryl. And Daryl and I have been talking a lot like the first couple days. And Daryl was like our HOH rep from our room. And he basically told us, he was like, guys, listen, like Daryl from day one was like room 4 strong. And so I knew that he had to have our best interest in mind. And he was like, Matt is not going to target our room. He's going to target room 2 if we vote for him. And it's like, and he knows that all of us voted for him. He's not going to target us. So I like sent Matt a message and was like, congrats. Like, let me know if you need help with anything or have like a plan or anything like that. But like, I felt safe going into that. Like, I didn't feel like I would be put up.
And then Billy was evicted. Anything from the Billy eviction? Probably not.
That eviction was really, really important for me because Robbie got put up and Billy hadn't been talking like at all because he lives in Australia and he was like asleep. And so Billy sent me like some messages like right before we voted, and I just ignored him because I was like, he's going to get voted out. But that eviction was important for me because Robbie was up, and I like sent Robbie a message. I was like, hey man, I want you to know, like, I have no intentions of voting you out. I'd actually really love it if we could work together. And so I think Robbie getting put up like after Nathan pulled himself down was really important for my game because like it helped me and Robbie like build a level of trust that was going to be important in like the upcoming rounds.
That's interesting. I would not have like considered that because I didn't always see, I guess, you and Robbie's like relationship.
Yeah, at that point, me and Robbie were still in like a private message that like the hosts were in. So yeah, like we had just like messaged, and I was like, listen, man, like I want you to stay in this. Like I think that you've got a lot to do. Like I've got a lot to do. So like let's stay in this and stay strong. And he was like super down for that. So like from that moment on, like I don't think like Mafalme would have happened if it wasn't for like for me doing that, because like it built a relationship with me and Robbie at that moment.
For those that are unsure, Mafalme was one of the few like good alliance names, or like only alliance names really. I mean, there was some, they just weren't like super memorable this season. But Mafalme was one, and that was Connor, Robbie Gray, and Alex, and that rode out for a while, for sure.
That was a powerful 4 for sure. Like that was like where the power was concentrated in the game.
And we had like, it was like me and Alex like had that alliance, and we also had like room 4 still like 5 strong. So it basically was like this, like, it's not like that we weren't disloyal to anyone, but it was like there was a point in the game where like we made the jury, and it was like me and Alex were both like, okay, like if we don't make the first move, then if someone in room 4 makes the first move and gets out Robbie and Connor, we can stick with room 4. But if someone in Mafalme makes the first move and takes out Quinn or Thomas, then like we can try to keep Quinn, Thomas, and Daryl, but like we still have like this. So it was like we definitely had our options open going into that.
Mafalme for life, says
Mafalme for life, Connor. Best alliance in BBH.
It's up there. It's up there, and there's some. I feel like there's some fun things like shows we could do in like the off season about like best alliances, like ranking winners, all those kind of things. I'm interested in that kind of discussion. So let's get to the Shane HOH, because this is where the game really started to kick into gear, which was super early. First of all, talk about any process you had. I guess it's probably not too exciting about in this HOH. You did not play for HOH. You opted, like a lot of people, like almost everyone, opted to play for a pendant instead of HOH.
Yeah, I knew that I didn't want HOH too early. I felt like I already had a target on my back for being a returner. I knew that inevitably people were going to be talking about like returners, and at that point, like I had people across the house that I've been talking to a lot. Eric and like all the returners were together. I had a good relationship with Robbie already. I had a good relationship with Room 4. Um, I mean, I didn't trust Zach like as far as I could throw him, but like I felt like if he were to somehow win, that like he wouldn't put me up. And like Shane and I had this whole like relationship that kind of like jumped forward a few steps just because of the fact that he said Hell Gray.
Tell that story real quick.
So the first day in the house, like I was like asleep and woke up and there was like 200 messages on my phone, and one of them, or probably 5 of them, was probably Zach Dixon tagging me and saying, "Where's Gray?" Because he did that like the whole game, because he saw like Zach knew that I was playing an under the radar game, and he kept trying to like call me out in the house chat, and like somehow I kept avoiding it. Like
He was just making tacos, guys.
yeah, I literally was making tacos one night. And so yeah, so Shane responded whenever I in the house chat and was like Hell Gray, because he was trying to say hello Gray, but he said Hell Gray, and like immediately like Josh responded and said Hell Gray, and it was just like this whole like it was this whole joke, and then it became this thing where like every time me and Shane would talk to each other, we would just say like I would say like well hell Shane, and like it was funny.
So that, I mean, and that probably played, I mean, it was silly, but it did kind of build a small enough relationship with you and Shane that kind of helped you out here.
Yeah, this early, he wasn't going to put me up. Like, I didn't feel like he would.
So he puts up Eric and Quinn, which ends up being the nominations that hold after Thomas wins the veto and does not use it. And this was our first of like, feels like many vote flips of the game. You can so I think, were you a part of this flip? What was your intentions going into this vote, and what flipped you if you flipped?
So my intentions going into this vote were to keep Eric, because Eric and I like had been talking, and like Eric's one of my friends from outside of the game, and so I wanted to keep Eric because I wanted to go far with him. But as I started thinking about it more, it was like the 2 people that I knew had to get out of this game, like if I wanted to win, were Zach and Eric. And I felt like if Eric made it to the jury, he would have voted for me. But I knew Zach like needed to be out. And so I wanted to keep Eric, but at my room that I was loyal to, like they were saying, and Robbie too, like I felt like I needed to build trust with Robbie more. So Robbie and Alex were both like, let's keep Quinn, because Quinn's in our room. And it was one of those where it's like, I know I need Quinn out at some point too, but like, when do I need him out? And so at the end of the day, I was part of the flip. Like I ended up flipping and I voted Eric out. And I did that because, like I said, I knew that like he was going to have to go out eventually. And I just wanted to keep building trust with the people in my room and with Robbie and people like that. But I had to lie a lot after that, because like Zach came to me immediately and was like, "You voted Eric out." And I was like, "No, I didn't. Like Eric is my best friend in this game. Like, why would I vote him out?"
The confusion about who voted where after that vote was insane. Like nobody knew what happened.
Yeah. I assume it wasn't until after the game last night that you finally figured out that vote.
I mean, I knew like the people that voted. I knew most of the people that voted, but like I didn't think I thought it was going to be an 8-5 instead of 7-6. And there was a really big part of me that was like, Connor is like freaking chaotic. Like he probably like, Connor literally probably like closed his eyes and like had like a wheel for like every vote in this game, and was just like spun the wheel, and like whoever it landed on was who he was going to vote for. And like that, I wouldn't be shocked if I found that out. Like Connor, if you're in the comments watching, send me a picture of your wheel, because I know it's there somewhere. And so it, like last night, whenever Connor told us that he flipped his vote on that one and like made it 7-6, I was like, of course. Like,
yeah. So yeah, so what did Quinn did? So you getting the outcome of Quinn, did that like have a big impact on your game, or that was just like another step in making sure that you stayed under the radar?
I mean, a little bit of both, right? So, like, I knew Quinn was going to be a big target, possibly a bigger target than Eric, but I also knew that Quinn would know he was a bigger target, and that Quinn would know that he needed me. Whereas Eric was going to be well connected throughout the rest of the house. And like Eric, like if he became a big target, I would be someone where eventually I felt like he would be like, I don't need you. Whereas like Quinn and I were in the same room, we were in the same like alliance. So like I knew that at some point Quinn would be like, I need to keep Gray in this. And Quinn wouldn't see that I was a threat. And so like at the end of the day, I needed Quinn because like obviously part of my strategy this whole time was like the meat shield strategy, right? And Quinn was one of those people.
It's and I'm kind of learning this really about your game now, in a sense, in terms of a big picture story, is that it feels like a lot of the decisions and things that you made had small payoffs, like as we went along. So like even like just talking here, we have you save Robbie, that's a small payoff, and you build a relationship with Shane, and then he all of a sudden wins the HOH. Now you save Quinn, and Quinn then becomes the next HOH.
And also, he's good at comps. Like I knew Quinn was good at comps, and I knew that he would put up someone on the other side of the house because I know that Quinn like has a vengeance. I knew that he won the battle back his first season, and so I knew that like if Quinn had been put up and saved, that he was going to come back with like a fury.
Mm.
So I would definitely say every round was like very calculated. Like every single round, I had to make a move where I was like, I want to vote in a specific way and convince people to vote in a specific way. Where it's like I have some sort of little payout that's like gonna like build up, and eventually I'll be able to cash in.
Mm. And so here, then I mean, Quinn wins HOH. This is a small, payout here, so to speak. Did you have an agenda for Quinn's HOH when he ultimately gets Matt out? Is that what you wanted, or you were just gonna kind of let him do the obvious thing, which was put up Matt and Shane?
Yeah, I figured he was going to put up Matt and Shane. I had no issues with that. I felt like I was closer with Shane at that point, so it was an easy vote. It was another chance for me to be able to build some of that trust with Shane, where like I told Shane, I was like, listen, I have no intentions of voting you out. Someone had told me before that round that Shane was targeting me. Like if Shane hadn't put up, if Eric or Quinn had come down when Thomas had the veto, like Shane was going to put me up. So I was really skeptical of Shane because I was like, what did I do?
There's some truth to that. That was something that was floating around.
Yeah. So I was just like, that made it to where, to be honest with you, it made it to where I couldn't trust, like I love Shane and like I love the way he played this game, but like at that moment when I heard that, I couldn't ever trust Shane again, like the way that I wanted to trust Shane. But I was still like, I wanted to keep him because I knew that he was a good player. And so like I was able to use that round to be like, Shane, like I'm not voting for you. I want you in this. Like, let's work together. Like, let's make some moves. Let's control this house together, basically.
And so Matt goes home here, and then fun fact is this round was originally going to be a double eviction, I believe.
Yeah.
And then Jacob died. Though I'm going to throw Jacob under the bus because we're in the viewing party. He posted on Facebook yesterday about some Survivor game he was playing in, and that just wrapped up. I'm like, Jacob, did you just say, forget it, I'm going to keep playing Survivor? Like, we had people playing multiple games, Jacob. Anyway, so all that to say is that we ended up then having to move the double eviction around a little bit, and now we're here at the first double eviction of the game, where Trey ends up winning the word memory wall competition. And what are your thoughts here?
So I wasn't worried at all. I felt like I was safe. Trey and I played together my first season. Trey had come to me like at the very beginning and was like, let's work together. Like you and I could be a final two. And I was like, yeah, I completely agree. Like Trey was someone that I wanted to like work with and go deep in the game with. When he won, I think Quinn made like a big chat with like rooms 2, 3, and 4, and basically was like, hey, everyone, let's target room 1. So we'll just put up 3 of them. The double eviction played out. Jeff pulled himself off. Shane went up. And I was like, I wanted to keep Carson because I knew that like I didn't trust Shane from the like round before a little bit, but I kind of trusted Carson. And I knew this is the round where Zach goes, right? Like this is the round where he's out. He won't tag me in the chat anymore and pull me out of my like turtle shell again. Like, and so, yeah, so I wanted to keep Carson, and because like me and Carson had been talking some and I really wanted to work with her. But at the end of the day, it sounded like the majority of the House was sticking with Shane. So this was one of those votes where like I didn't have as much like power or like influence, but I was okay with keeping Shane because again, we had built a little bit of a relationship. I was still wary of him because I had heard he wanted me out, but I was like, let's keep Shane. And so it was easy for me to switch my vote. But it was like the thing that was chaotic was like Connor told me like during this vote, he was like, I'm voting however you vote. Like you tell me how you're voting and I'm going to vote that way. And I was like, okay, what if
This is Zach for the record. Go ahead, sorry.
So I was like, Connor was like, I'm voting however you vote. And I was like, okay, what if, like, to myself, I'm thinking, what if I want to vote however you vote? Like, that's so dumb. Like, just like, tell me how you're going to vote. Like, just own it. And so it was like, no one knew what anyone was doing. This was like the first real test of like alliances. Literally, Robbie was like, if I remember right, Robbie was like okay with keeping Carson, and then all of a sudden he was like, actually, let's take out Shane. Wait, let's keep Carson. Okay, let's keep Shane. And I was like doing that too because I was like, okay, I'm trying to follow. And it was, like I said, it was the closest thing to a live tribal because like literally the time to vote came up. And like 5 minutes before that was whenever I told Connor, I'm voting to keep Shane. And I told Alex, I'm voting to keep Shane. And like we all kind of decided that we were going to keep Shane.
So where did that idea come from? Who originated it? Do you know? Because I couldn't keep up with that either. Was it Robbie?
I don't know. It might have been Alex because like Alex and Shane were tight, right? Like they had played in like the Survivor, or they knew each other from the Survivor org, and like I didn't want to vote against Alex because I knew Alex was someone that like we were tight. Like Alex was at this point literally the person I was closest with. I don't know that I was the person he was closest with yet. But he was the person that I like trusted a lot. And so he like really wanted to keep Shane because they were like friends or whatever. And so it was one of those things where it was like, I said last night during the finale, there were times where like, I would say, let's do this. And Alex was like, okay, like, yes, let's do it. Like, I trust you. And then there were other times where Alex would be like, let's do this. And I would say, okay, like, I trust you because you trusted me. Like mine and Alex's relationship in this game was very like give and take where we kept like passing the ball off to each other. And like that was a move where I think that he ultimately kind of like rounded up the votes to keep Shane. If I remember right.
I don't remember exactly, but it sounds
right.
Sounds right. So you do get Zach and Carson out here. Shane does stay, which is, Shane avoided the eviction a million times. And it really was because of felt like because of the loud game he was playing, people were like, we got to keep this guy around. It's kind of the Connor strategy. And so now we're here.
It was kind of like one of those things where, again, like keeping Shane around, I knew like, okay, on this side of the house, I have Thomas, who's a target because he won the veto and he was thinking about taking Quinn down. I have Quinn, who's a target. And then on that side of the house, like Connor's a target, Shane's a target. And like, I didn't play a Sandra Diaz Twine game where like it was like I was like anyone but me. Like there were a few times where I was like, hey, it's not us, so that's fine. But that wasn't my strategy. But at the same time, like the whole game, I was trying to make sure like, okay, on this side, here's the two people that would go up initially if someone on that side wins. And then on that side, here's the two people that would go up if someone on this side wins. And so the whole game, I kept thinking to myself, who is going to fill in that spot if one of those people gets out? And like, what do I need to do to make sure that that person fills in that spot?
That makes a lot of sense. So people watching, I put the wrong link in the comments. I'm going to put the correct link now. It's actually, I did it backwards. Apparently Zach said the link I sent for your like comments to be like allowed. It's actually this that I'm putting in right now. It's actually StreamYard.com/Facebook instead of Facebook.com/StreamYard. So sorry
also,
if you...
I just wanted to like add, I was looking at the comments and I just wanted to add that Zach Dixon made a comment where he said, how do I not view Gray as a snake in real life now? I thought he was my friend. I want to flip that question around and say, how do I not view Zach as a snake in real life now? I thought he was my friend.
Ooh.
And when apparently when he got voted out, he told Shane he was giving me his pennant of life to put a target on me when it didn't even matter anymore. Like, so I'm playing devil's advocate, Zach.
And not to mention that, like, every time he exposed you in the chat is not something that a friend and ally would do.
No. let's talk about the fact that literally Zach and Jeff kept trying to call me out, and like it didn't work.
Jeff makes sense. That's
Yeah.
fine. Zach doesn't make as much sense. Sorry. Okay, so moving to now, this is Matt really liked that little exchange. He gave us an oh snap. And so now we're moving on to a critical point in the game for you, which is, anytime that you win HOH is an important part of what you're trying to accomplish. So you win. Now this is there's a lot of layers to this, because you win touchy subjects, which is not just winning a normal competition. It shows some awareness about what's going on in the house, which obviously you had. I think you weren't there when I said this last night. Everyone thought there was only 10 questions. There was 15. You got 8 out of 15 right, which is still a lot.
And I could have gotten, I want to say, like, I could have gotten more. I intentionally threw like 3 or 4 of them because I didn't want to, I again was like, I don't want to start trying to win HOH until the jury happens. And I had a feeling that, like, if I won this HOH, like I would make it to the jury because I would be safe to the jury. But like, I intentionally through like 4 or 5 of the questions just because I wanted to make sure I didn't win, and I still won.
And so what is, I mean, I think you got the perfect outcome that you wanted, which was to get Jeff out here, but like, what was the thought process of that move?
So going into it, like, winning touchy subjects was like great because it affirmed for me that like I was playing a really, really aware game where like I knew like how other people were thinking. And that was really important for me. Like, that was the game that I wanted to be able to play. Like, I wanted to be able to play a game where like I knew that like everyone in the house, like I kind of knew where their mind was at. When I put up Jeff, like I knew that I didn't want to target anyone that had been in like Mafalme. Like, I didn't want to make Connor or Robbie upset, so I didn't want to put up anyone in room 2. I wasn't going to put up Trey because he was my ally. I wasn't going to put up anyone in room 4. Jeff was like left from room 1, so I was like, I'll put up Jeff. And then I put up Kaylee as a pawn because I knew nobody was going to want to vote Kaylee out. I didn't want to vote Kaylee out. And it was strategic in a way because I was like, I want to be able to build trust with Kaylee now. Like, she's someone in the house I have not been able to build trust with by saving her in a vote. So if I put her up as a pawn and guarantee her, like, listen, like, trust me, I'm going to make sure that you stay, then maybe Kaylee will trust me moving forward. And I think that was really, really like a pivotal moment, because that trust with Kaylee became really, really important later on in the game.
Absolutely. And Zach has a rebuttal. He said Shane lied. I said nothing about the pendants. I just want to be clarified. That to be clarified on the record. Actually, I think he's telling the truth. I don't think he has no reason to lie here. So there's a good chance that Shane made that up.
Who knows? Alex just told me. Alex was like, at one point, Shane told me that Jeff gave you his pendant, and I was like, why the hell would Jeff give me his pendant? And then he was like, wait, no, Zach. He said that you and Zach are great friends in real life. I was like, yeah, me and Zach are like really great friends, but Zach didn't give me his pendant, and I just got really confused.
Yeah. So you build that trust with Kaylee, and that is so critical to your game. Like up till last night, and I want to hold all that, but
I'll say real quick, like I think like a lot of times people don't like think about how important. Like a lot of times people are like, let me just throw up this pawn, like just so I like don't get a target on me. And I like this whole game, I was like, no, like I don't want to ever put up a pawn just to put up a pawn. Like there needs to be strategy behind putting up a pawn. And so for me, that strategy behind putting up a pawn was like, this is where I build a relationship with someone that I don't have yet, that I need to have a relationship with.
Yeah, and this isn't you just blowing smoke, because this is things that you vocalized to us a lot during this, and it carried over to Alex's HOH, which I guess we can get to, because Alex essentially does the same thing and follows your lead. In regard, I don't want to like diminish Alex's HOH or anything he did, but like he kind of does the same thing here in his HOH when you guys ultimately got Trey out, which I think is an interesting vote.
So that one, again, Kaylee's up. Right. And at this point, do I trust Trey more than Kaylee? Yes. But does Trey also know how to make it to the finals of this game? And would he cut me if he needed to? Yes. So at this point, also, we're at the jury. Whoever gets voted off as the first member of the jury. Is Trey someone who I've worked with, who respects my game and would vote for me at the end? Yes. So I was like, Trey does need to go this round, unfortunately. Even though I love him and I wanted him to stay, he does need to go because he's someone who I think would have my back on the jury because we played together before and we played this game together so far. And also, this is yet another round for me to continue building trust with Kaylee by saying, Kaylee, you're staying, and it's because I'm talking to everyone and telling them to vote to keep you. Was I talking to everyone? No. But was I talking to enough people? Yeah. And so I was like, Kaylee, like, trust me again. Like, I want you in this. You're going to stay in this.
And so, Max, fill in some blanks that last night when we did Zoom, there was a lot of talk about this vote, and I don't remember it.
I don't either.
This was a weird vote because this is one of the votes where you and I and Steven got on a live afterwards and talked about it. And I thought it was in a lot of people's best interest to evict Kaylee. I really did. I thought it was in Quinn's best interest to evict Kaylee. I thought it was in Thomas's best interest to evict Kaylee. At least those two people.
Right.
And there was traction multiple times that day for Kaylee to go. And I thought that was going to be the vote at one point. Mm-hmm. But there was just this force, whether it was coming for Alex or Gray or Quinn or whatever, that they were just going to strong arm this vote into being a Trey vote. And like, I feel like a lot of people voted against their best interest this time because it was a unanimous vote. And I'm like, that's another theme this season that I just thought was really interesting is the number of unanimous or near unanimous votes. Yeah. And I'm like, surely it is not in everybody's best interest to vote unanimously every time. So like, people were just so terrified of being outside of the majority that I think people were voting against the way they should have voted just to save that part of it. Is that what it is?
This was another one where, so like when I was HOH and Kaylee was on the block, y'all were talking about how much power the HOHs had this season, like where it was like, once you're HOH and you put people up, you have no more power. Like you shouldn't be controlling the game.
Exactly.
But I knew that people were like trusting the HOHs. And so I was like, let's keep Kaylee. And so then whenever the next round came and Alex put up Trey and Kaylee, like I knew that there were viable options either way. But at the end of the day, I knew that like if Trey was like on the jury, that was better for me. And Alex, I think in that vote, Alex really wanted to keep Kaylee and get Trey out anyway because Alex like wanted to get a returner out. So that was another one of the times where like, again, we passed the ball like off to each other again. Like I was like, I controlled this last vote. Like here's you, like whatever you want to do, like I've got your back. And so when he said like, let's get Trey out, I was like, okay, like no matter which way this goes, like I can make this work. Like I can adapt to this and make like whoever stays work with me. But like it's better for me if Kaylee stays. And so that was definitely one of those times where like I think it was a unanimous vote because of Alex's influence in this game.
And that's what I didn't understand is why, like you said, like when the HOH has made their nominations and they're set, like their power is done. I get it for you because you were in an alliance with them and you wanted to like be in lockstep with him. But people who had no business like caring what Alex thought, like were going to him and being like, "What should we do?" And I was like, guys, like if Trey is actually the person you want to go, then vote that way. But don't vote that way because Alex wants it. You know, it's just a testament to Alex's game that he had that much influence. But like I was just kind of like shaking people's head. I'm like, do something.
So we get to now. This is kind of a stretch in the game where Room 4 starts to take some hits. So Robbie wins HOH here, and I guess this is where your game and Alex's game takes the step above, Daryl, Thomas, and Quinn, because I mean Mafalme is really what kind of ultimately kind of saves you in these rounds where Daryl and Quinn are evicted.
Yeah, and like I honestly like these are two of the rounds that I like remember the least in the game because I think I was like just like kind of stressed out and a little bit mad. So like Robbie was like absolutely correct for putting up two people from Room 4. Like he needed to do that, and that was a great move on his part. It was a really smart move. But Robbie had like called me to tell me that like he wasn't putting me up, but that he was targeting Room 4. And when Robbie was talking to me on the phone, like I love Robbie, but like when he was talking to me on the phone, basically he was like, yeah, like it was like one of the first times that he like talked to me and like kind of had this like tone of like, this is what's going to happen. You have to be okay with it. And as a student of like this game, like someone who's watched a lot of Big Brother, watched a lot of Survivor, the minute that someone starts talking like that, that means that like they're going to start having a really good case. Like who else are they talking to and like controlling like how the narrative of the game is going. So I was loyal to Robbie. I was like, yeah, like Robbie, you're HOH, I'm your ally, let's do what we want. But that was the first time that Robbie popped up on my radar as being someone where I was like, when the next double eviction comes, Robbie has to go. Even if like we're still like Mafalme strong, Robbie's got to go. And I told Alex that as well. Like me and Alex were talking about it, and we were like Robbie's going to have to go. And so that was like the first time that really came to fruition, I think.
Well, talk me through then the next eviction, which was Quinn's, because if I remember correctly, you and Alex did not want Quinn to go home here. You were wanting to keep him, and Alex definitely wanted Thomas out. You actually almost won HOH this round, and you missed it on the Frankenstein question.
Yeah.
But I feel like something happened. I don't remember exactly. Something happened that you and Alex ultimately turned around and was like, you know what, we have to bite the bullet on this one, and we're gonna take Quinn out.
Well, I don't remember, again, the dynamics of the relationships at this time, like for this round specifically, but I do remember that, like, I wanted Thomas to stay this round. Like, at the beginning of the round, I wanted Quinn out because I knew, like, again, Quinn was going to be a threat to win this game at some point, so he was going to have to get out. And, like, he's on the block. We've got to get him out. And I wanted Thomas because I felt like if Quinn was out, Thomas had a connection with me as a returner. We had talked a good bit. Like Thomas would like come to me, and like I would be Thomas's go-to guy. So I wanted Quinn out this round. Alex wanted Quinn to stay this round. So if I remember right, I feel like Alex wanted Quinn to stay because like he was like he'll be a shield again, which was like my strategy the whole time. And so as Alex was saying that, I was like, yeah, I'm okay. I mean, I'm okay with that. Like Quinn being a shield is great for my game. And again, the same reason we saved Quinn before, like he's going to have a vengeance. He's going to come for people and like take them out one by one. But at the end of the day, like if we gave Quinn too much momentum, I felt like he was going to like ride it out to the end. So this was one of those votes where I think this is one of those votes where I told Alex, like, let's keep Thomas and vote Quinn out. And he was like, I trust you this time. Like, if I remember that right, I remember there being one vote where I was like, I'm really scared that Alex isn't going to trust me anymore after this just because, like, we disagree. And I think this was the one.
This is one of the first instances where Alex didn't get what he wanted. So it was interesting to see, like, how he dealt with that. Like, how like, him not having the control that he was used to would play out. And I think it probably was partly because of you. Like, he trusted you so much.
And I think that was like, this was like a critical point in my game too, because it was like, I obviously knew Alex like had been like helping control a lot of this, like writing a lot of the narrative of this game. And like, I was just like controlling, like he was writing, I was just like there helping control it. But this vote was the one where I felt like the pin got passed off to me. And like, I mean, I guess like the HOH where we took Jeff out was like the first time, but this was like one of the other like real times where I felt like I was the one holding the pen, doing the writing this time. And like I said, I was scared that it would like affect mine and Alex's relationship, but it didn't, which was good.
You're right. And now we get to one of the most exciting parts of the game. Alex and you really spend the day, day 15. This was, I guess, last Sunday. Must have been last Sunday. Spend the day trying to get Thomas to win C4. Little did you know, really what, and I'll kind of fill in some gaps if they haven't been filled. Thomas had been thinking about taking Alex out for a few days now.
Yeah.
And Thomas was legitimately like the first one to ever say it. Connor's going to take credit for putting the wheels in motion that move to happen, but Thomas already kind of was thinking like, hey, Alex is like this humongous threat, no one else sees it. So anyway, you guys do
it. I just want to say I saw it.
Well, saw it and needed to take him out. Like you didn't need to.
I saw it and I was like, no, let's keep him here because he's in front of me, like in the pecking order. Like, right? He's my closest ally, so he trusts me. But like people don't trust him, or people know that he's a target, so they're going to go for him before they go for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah.
So, you guys get your way. Thomas wins HOH, puts up Nathan and Shane, ultimately what you guys wanted. And Robbie wins the veto. And this is when all the wheels start to fall off. Alex gets put up. Your first line of defense here is making sure Alex knows that you had no part in it.
Yes. Alex called me and he was like, I just have one question for you. We've been honest. And I think this is the moment where I think Alex like realized that like he and I were a duo that like I was invested into, because he had a lot of options. But I think this is the moment where like he must have realized that like I was fighting for him. This was the biggest round of my game, like by far. So I all day I had this weird feeling. Like Thomas won HOH. I just had this weird feeling whenever Robbie won the veto and it wasn't like immediately used. And I was like, there's like something going on here that just doesn't feel right. And so the veto's used. Alex gets put up. Alex calls me. He's like, I just want you to be completely honest with me. Like, yes or no, did you know about this? And I truly did not know. So I told him, no, I had no idea. Then Shane and Robbie immediately reach out to me and are like trying to like, they're like, hey, like Robbie was like, again, Robbie was texting me and he was like, hey man, you don't know what's about to happen, but you will soon. And I was like, okay, don't love that. Like, don't love me like that whenever I'm like trying to like win this game. So that was like I was like, okay, something, yeah. So yeah, like that happened too. And of course Connor calls me afterwards, and like I could tell like at this point in the game, like I can tell when Connor's acting. He calls me, he's like, did you know this was gonna happen? And I was like, no man, I had no idea. Like I was just like hyping that up. And like with Shane and Robbie, I told them, I was like, listen, I'm out of my league. Like I thought I knew how to play this game. I don't. Like, y'all do whatever the heck you want. Like I obviously don't know what I'm doing. Like I'm a target next, so just tell me what to do. Like I quit. Like this is dumb. Like I don't know what I'm doing at all. And so I told them I had no idea what I was doing. Meanwhile, on the phone with Connor, I'm telling Connor, hey, Robbie literally just told me that if he won HOH next, that you and Kaylee were going to go, because he wanted to break up another duo in this game. So you and Kaylee are going on the block if Robbie wins. And I don't know if Connor knew that or not, but Robbie told me that he was going to put up Connor and Kaylee. And then I was like, on top of that, Connor, I talked to Nathan earlier whenever like we were playing the HOH, and I was like, I messaged Nathan. I was like, hey, I'll stop answering questions to help you win HOH if you don't put me up. And he was like, yeah, sure. Like, I'm okay with that. Who do you want up? And I was like, well, like Connor and Kaylee like are an idea. And he was like, yeah, those are the two people I want out. And so Robbie had told me that him and Nathan weren't close, but like I knew Robbie and Nathan were close. Like they had to have been. They had to have at least been talking. So I told Connor, I used that information again. I was like, Connor, like not only did Robbie tell me that he wants you two gone, but also Nathan told me this. So you think that you're tight with these people, but like they're ready to cut you off next. Whereas if you stay with me, like I'm going to take you to the final two. So you and Kaylee vote with me to save Alex. And I built that trust with Kaylee earlier too, right? So like I went to Kaylee too, and I told her, and she was like, yeah, I like Alex, let's keep him. And so me building the relationship with Kaylee earlier was like crucial too, or else this couldn't have happened. Mm-hmm. So then another layer of the game comes in, because we know that there's an advantage out there. And we know that like we had some ideas as to what it was, but like we weren't right. But I was worried that it could affect the vote. And so I like told Connor, I was like, Connor, like Robbie and Shane have to think that you're voting with them. And apparently Connor was going to vote with them until like the last minute.
He was.
So that worked out perfectly for us that he flipped at the last minute, because Robbie and Shane had no idea. So there was no need to play an advantage, even though Connor was the one who apparently had the advantage the whole time. We thought Robbie might have it. So we just wanted to make sure that, that it wasn't played. And then I also had been like telling Alex that like I was going to buy the Seal a Vote, and like in hindsight, I probably should have bought the Seal a Vote to use it just for extra security. But I felt like I did enough like talking. I was like I felt comfortable enough in my ability that I used like to leverage these relationships that like it was going to be enough, and it ended up being enough. Like, so yeah.
One of my favorite ways Connor lies actually is he. I heard him do it on like a million phone calls that day.
You
He would
can
just
hear it in his voice.
yeah, you could hear it in his voice, and he would just go like he would go, "Oh my gosh,
And he would go like,
oh my gosh, my just oh." Yeah, he would just like fake frustration. It was really
like I
funny.
love Connor, but I could see it every time. And I wanted, the reason Connor stuck around so long in this game was because I wanted to trust him the whole time.
You did, you really did.
This is a massive internal battle for Gray. Like, do I trust Connor?
Yeah, it was such a battle for me because I wanted to trust him. Like I wanted to play this game with him, but like he never wanted to line up and play the game with me, and was I guess his mistake.
Well, and then you and Connor essentially, because Connor does flip here and votes to keep Alex. That kind of like hitched his wagon to you. Kind of a little more like you had that new Final Four alliance. It wasn't the most tight thing in the world, but it certainly was enough because now you're at the double eviction and Kaylee wins blackjack.
Yeah, so this again was like crucial, like the fact that I had like made that relationship with Kaylee early on, and we had worked together, and like now we had an alliance together. I was like, I didn't feel like I was going to be going up. And when I played blackjack that morning, Josh, you told me, you were like, this is the highest score.
Yeah, you were in the lead for most of it, and then actually you ended up in third because Kaylee and Shane did really well.
Yeah, so I was like already ready to like put up Thomas, Shane, and Robbie with the intention of saving Thomas. But then Kaylee ended up doing that, so it was perfect. But then where it gets like dicey is so I'm talking to Alex, right? And Alex is like, Shane gave me his tokens. And Alex was like, let's buy the veto takeover so that like the noms stay the same, and then let's vote to like save Shane. I knew that Shane needed to like be gone at this point. Like this was the round where it was like Shane and Robbie both have to go. Because after that last round, like Robbie, Shane, and Connor were all like falling apart and feuding. Like I helped orchestrate that whole thing, and like I wasn't even a target after that. Like, so it was like they kept like they were just like spatting at each other, and like we were like, holy cow, what's happening? And so then like Shane had to go, Robbie had to go, and so I trusted Alex more than anything in this game. But this was a big moment for me because I had to step back and think like, yes, I trust Alex. Yes, I already consider him to be like a great friend, like outside of this game. Like I'm excited for us to be friends. But inside this game, Alex is a gamer. Like if Alex gets this veto takeover and he has the relationship with Shane that I think he has with Shane, there's a chance that he pulls Shane off, and if that happens, I go up. And so I didn't want that to happen. So I tell Kaylee and Connor about this because
keep in mind, everyone, as he tells the story, this is all happening at like 12:30 at midnight, and it's like the double eviction just ended. There was already a lot of craziness, and then all of a sudden, everything starts picking back up really late at night.
Which I didn't expect that at 12:30 it would pick up. Like normally I'm in bed by then.
Right, I didn't expect for my phone to be ringing at 1:30 to a phone call of you and Connor, but you can get there.
Which, like, that's another thing. In this game, I was always worried that there would be, like, late-night talks that I wasn't a part of. But actually, like, most of the late-night talks, I think I was the one, like, that was a part of them and, like, helping, like, drive them.
It's true.
So, yeah, I told Kaylee and Connor, I was like, listen, like, Alex wants to buy the veto takeover. Shane gave him his pendants, though. I'm just worried they may be working together. And the reason I did that was because I knew that Alex was already a target. But, like, maybe if someone won veto, they would, like, put him up on the block instead. And I was still going to vote to save Alex, of course, because like I wanted him in here. But I just didn't want to be the one going up on the block if veto was won. So then like Alex still wants to use the veto takeover. And I was like, well, Kaylee's only going to use it if she can buy it. Because I convinced Kaylee, like, we're only going to use it if you buy it. But then Kaylee was like, or Alex was like, I just don't know that I trust Kaylee like fully yet because like Connor is like telling Kaylee how to play this game, and or something like that. It was like Connor had a lot of influence on Kaylee, which I was like, yeah, of course. So I told Alex, I was like, what if you gave the tokens to me and I bought it? Because we have to buy this. So what if you just gave me your tokens and I'll buy it? And he was like, okay, like I'll do that if Kaylee does it. And I went to Kaylee and I was like, hey, can I have your tokens and I'll just buy it? And she was like, yeah, that's fine. And then I went back to Alex and I was like, Kaylee's going to give them to me. And I don't think Alex believed me at first because he was like,
because it happened so fast.
It happened
so quick. Because me and Kaylee had already decided that either she or I were going to buy it. So Kaylee was fine with me buying it.
Alex was just was like, that happened so fast. There must be a new plot against me. Like everyone kept thinking they were plotting against each other when it wasn't really happening.
Which again was like a testament to like the relationship that me and Alex had to have. Like we had to trust each other for like moves like this to happen. So like he had to trust me for this to happen. And so like I wasn't going to use it. Like, and I told him I'm not going to use it. And I could tell he was skeptical, but he gave me the tokens I needed. I bought it. I kept the noms the same. Shane would have won that Wheel of Fortune veto. Like he would have killed it. So I'm glad that I bought it. And
Thomas could have won it.
Yeah,
Thomas did win in his season.
Yeah.
So it came down to it, and we ended up keeping the noms the same, and we had like a straightforward shot into the final 5. And that was really when me and Alex like started orchestrating our plan for like how do we make it to the final 2.
Mm-hmm. Which then started the next day with you having to win an HOH, and you had to beat Thomas and Kaylee.
Well, no. That was final 5, and Alex won HOH.
Yeah, Alex
sorry,
is next
you're
HOH.
right. Sorry, correct. Alex wins HOH here at final 5.
And Connor immediately tries to throw me under the bus. So not only have I had to avoid the radar when Zach keeps calling my name out in the group me, not only did I have to avoid the radar whenever Jeff keeps telling everyone that I'm the biggest target in the house and I'm running the whole game, but now I'm having to avoid the radar when Connor is telling Alex like everything and throwing me under the bus. And so Alex calls me again, and like this was really when we started orchestrating our plan because I basically told Alex like Connor was lying about a lot of the stuff he told Alex. And Alex knew that Connor was someone who lied, so it wasn't like I had like a lot of work to do there because Connor wrote that story himself. But like there were a lot of lies that Connor told, but there were some things that Connor was correct in, and I just told Alex, I was like, listen, like we've all had to keep our options open in this game, but at the end of the day, like you're the person I'm loyal to, and I wouldn't have like saved you 2 rounds ago if it wasn't for that. So you can trust me. And so then he won. I didn't go up on the block at all. We unanimously evicted Connor.
Connor was basically sunk at this point, which is, like I said, that new Final 4 alliance got you through that double eviction and kind of got you to this point, which I think like everyone, I think all of you knew that wasn't like the strongest alliance, but there was not pretty much most alliances that existed served a short purpose. And I'm going to pause real quick. Max, you can keep talking to Gray, but my pastor's calling me.
Okay. Yeah, that's why I had Connor so low on my power rankings at the final 5 is because I knew that both you and Alex wanted him out. Thomas wanted him out. Like nobody was going to fight for Connor's interests at that point except for Kaylee, and she couldn't be HOH. So
yeah, and we had to put Kaylee up on the block too so that she couldn't vote.
Right, and that was strategic as well to put Kaylee up next to him. So I just knew that Connor had to win competitions in order to make it to the end. I also knew that Alex also had to win competitions to make it to the end because Thomas and Connor both wanted him out, and Kaylee at least seemed open to the idea. I wasn't sure about you. Like, I didn't know if you got the opportunity to take Alex out, if you would, because like Alex was clearly the biggest, besides Connor, Alex was the biggest threat to win the game. You didn't take that shot.
I wasn't going to take that shot unless I had to at the final 3.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I knew Connor was,
because I knew that at final 3. So at that point in the game, I win final 4 HOH, right? And Alex kept me safe in the last round, so I kept my word to him, and I didn't put him up at all. So it was Thomas and Kaylee on the block, right?
Yep.
So I knew that I was going to keep my word to Alex and not put him up. I had a feeling, like partially, like in my heart, I had a feeling that there was a chance that sorry, I got my I knew that there was a chance that maybe Alex wouldn't win veto and he would have to go up on the block, and if he did, he was going to get sent home at 4.
He was.
And there was a part of me that was like, that's not bad for my game.
No, it wouldn't have been bad for your game at all.
Like, if that had
happened, you would have probably won the final HOH.
Yeah, like I would have lost part 1, but I would have won in part 2 and 3. So, yeah, like part of me felt like that could happen, but then at the end of the day, Alex decided to take out Thomas and keep Kaylee, which I felt like meant that like Thomas was going to be upset at Alex, and Thomas may be someone on the jury who would vote for me. He didn't, but like I still felt like jury management wise that was okay. So then we get into the final 3, and the final 3 HOH. The round 1, I was like, I'm like, all I could think of the whole time, and this is gonna sound so nerdy and so like English teacher, all I could think of was like in To Kill a Mockingbird, whenever Atticus like says like the line about like courage is whenever you know you're licked before you start and you do it anyway. I was like, I'm like, there's 0 chance in hell that I can win this like balancing a water bottle on my head thing. And I knew there was no chance whenever I did it for like a minute, and I was like, oh, like I just killed that shit. I was like, that's the best I've done. And I'm talking to Alex about it afterwards. He's like, yeah, I made a playlist so I could keep up with how many songs passed as I listened. And my mouth was like,
oh yeah, they both went for 14 minutes.
Songs?
like a whole ass playlist. Because like I couldn't have made it through one song. So but then whenever we played part 2 of the final HOH, I was like, I've got this. Like this whole game, like my memory has like served me like good, and like I've done really well at these competitions like this. So I won part 2, and I knew that was good because it meant it was me and Alex. And at that point, me and Alex had told each other all game that we would take each other to the final 2. I had started thinking, if I win this final 2 HOH, part of me the bigger part of me wanted to take Alex for 2 reasons. One, I felt like I needed Alex there so I could like prove to people on the jury that I played my own game, that I played an under the radar game, and I still was able to control things, which was how last night went, obviously, even though he was the one that took me. Like I was like, if I take Alex, I can prove myself, and like that might be the last move I need to win this game. But then the second option was taking Kaylee, and I was like, if I take Kaylee, I think I can win this game 9-0. And if I do that, I'll play the first ever perfect game in Big Brother Hometown's history, because I've never been on the block, never had a vote cast to evict me. So for the like novelty of it, there was a really big part of me, like if I had won that final HOH, I didn't say this during jury questioning last night, but if I had won, I was probably going to take Kaylee. Like at the last minute, I decided like I may have to take Kaylee. But all day, me and Alex had been talking, and we were basically like, oh, we're already in the final 2, like stuff like that. And so me and Alex had like a friendship that formed in this game too. And it really was like a Tony and Sarah and like a fire making challenge moment, because we played this whole game together, and we were like, let's give everyone a really entertaining finale by both of us going. And if this had been for money, like if this had been for any amount of money, I would have told Alex, like, take Kaylee to the end, knock me out now. I'm voting for you to win this game. Like if this had been for any amount of money, him having that power at the end, like I would have been like, yeah, like you know what you have to do. And I'm sure he would have done the same thing for me. Like if this had been for any amount of money, whoever won that last HOH was going to win the game. But since it wasn't for money, and since it's like for pure quarantine entertainment, he decided like at the end of the day, it needed to be the 2 of us in the finale. And going into that, I was like, okay, well, everyone on the jury is probably about to vote for Alex. And apparently they were. So I knew that I had to have like really strong jury questioning. And I prepared myself like, every time I've taken a shower for the past 3 weeks, I've thought of like questions that I would ask on the jury, and I've like answered them to myself. And so like I had prepared like some responses for how I could like navigate that, and it ended up working out. And
Were the questions what you expected, or were you caught off guard by any questions?
for the most part, they were what I expected. I knew people were going to ask me, like, what was the biggest move you made? What was the best part of your game? I thought someone would ask us, if I had been on the jury, I would have been one of those people that would have asked, like, say what the best part of the other person's game was.
I was waiting for that question all night.
But we got the opposite of it, right? Because like my boss Robbie says, "What's the worst part of the other person's game?" And so that was hard because it was like I'm sitting in the final two with like my best friend in this game, and I have to like sit here and say like what the worst part of his game is. Like I didn't like having to do that, but at the end of the day, like I felt like I answered it well. And so most of the questions were what I expected, and a lot of them were like felt like they were the same variation of the same, or there were different variations of the same question.
And I do want to say a couple things. One, like that is true, and I said to Max last night that you did a good job of not being repetitive in your answers, even though like the big thing that you were like the big things you were saying were the same things. Like your two big moves, like at 8 and 7, were obviously like the high, like the peak of the game. Like those are your big moves. So like I thought you did a good job there. And I do want to say I want to talk about Robbie's questioning. First, I want to let you like speak to the Robbie questioning because I felt like it was kind of garbage.
I mean, Robbie was the most fun person to ask questions. I think, like
he brought it. Like he was a lot of fun. Like
he brought it. I actually expected. Okay, going into this, I thought Nathan was going to be the one that brought it. Like, I was waiting for Nathan to give like a like Sue Hawk like talk. Nathan's a big Sequester fan. I was like, Nathan's not even going to let us answer questions. He's just going to talk at us the whole time and then like leave, or he's going to give like a Reed Kelly like jury speech where he like basically shits on one of us. Sorry, and like
we're in the viewing party. I don't care.
Okay, and then says like the other one is like really great. And so that's what I thought it was going to be. But then Nathan was actually like really complimentary of like my game. He was like, you played an under the radar game, Gray, and like I underestimated you. And Shane did the same thing. So I felt good about like how I was selling myself. Robbie was the one person I knew that I was going to have to sell myself to the most. But at the end of the day, I knew that I had to sell myself to him in a way where I didn't compromise like who I am as a person. So like, right. Like, so Robbie asked me like, you're a teacher. If I told you that you have a free A, are you going to take it? And like, yeah, Robbie might be the person who's like going to take the free A, but like Robbie, you're talking to a teacher. Like right. That's academic dishonesty. Like if you tell me you're going to get a free A where I have to work for it, I want to work for it because I want to make sure that I learned that standard. Like I want to make sure that if it comes up again, I can do it. And because like my whole like mantra in life is that like I want to be great, and that if I can't be great, then I don't want it. Like so I want to prove myself to other people, and I want to prove that I want to prove my worth. And so I felt like I had to answer the way that I did. Like, and so he was like, "Great, if you won the final 3 HOH, would you have taken Alex to the end?" Would I have? Probably not. Like it was really going to be a spur of the minute decision. Like. And I think that, I mean, I don't know what I would have done. It's all speculation at this point. But I knew that me sitting there with Alex meant that I was going to have to prove myself to people. And I would have to show them the game that I played that they didn't even realize that I played. And so...
which is funny because the reason I was bothered by the logic, I wasn't bothered by the question or really, I mean, and Robbie can do whatever he wants. Like, that's the point of being on the jury. But, like, he held it against you that you said that you would bring Alex, even though Alex actually brought you. Like, that's what actually happened. Like, and then he held the, like, what if against you when he didn't hold the what actually happened against him.
But I did see it as a win because Robbie did tell me afterwards that he was, like, 100% voting for Alex coming into the finale. And he said that by the time I got done talking that he was at 50-50. Yeah. And basically he was like, I just had to, like, pick one. And so, like, I took that as a win. I felt like Shane was going to vote for Alex beforehand. Like, So like I feel like the jury questioning, like I did prepare well. There are some things in jury questioning that I should have like brought up more. Looking back, I should have brought up the fact that Jeff tried to throw me under the bus. Because I think the big part of Alex's game was that everyone was like, Alex, you were a big target this whole game, and somehow you made it to the end. But like the flip side of that is with my game, like I could have been a big target. Zach kept mentioning my name. My name kept getting my name was thrown out by Jeff. Like there were times that like my name should have been one where like people saw it, but I was able to sink back and like nobody, like people just kept underestimating me. So
there were conversations throughout the season where people were like, why is nobody talking about Gray? And then they would just kind of move on to something else. And I'm like,
exactly.
Well, you guys just like talked about him. Like, what?
Yeah. And like, to be honest with you, I don't know that I could play this game again and do that again.
No.
Like, it took,
that's out of the bag now.
Yeah. And it took this group of people, it took this cast of people playing like the way that we played. And it took me having a relationship with people and knowing how people would think to do that. And it was exhausting. It was absolutely exhausting. Like my brain hurt every day whenever I went to bed because I was like, how do I need to, like, for lack of better words, manipulate the relationships I have with these people so that they don't see me as a target. And I should have spoke more to that last night, especially the whole like thing with Jeff, like calling me out and how like that just got swept under the rug afterwards. I should have used to that more. And so there are things, even with me doing like a great jury speech, there were things that I wish I'd done better.
What was like the like overall, like, as opposed to not just like hitting your points, but like what was the strategy, like the approach in the jury questioning? What did you want to accomplish?
I wanted to be clear and concise and like answer each question as thoroughly as possible with like, because I could tell like probably on the third question that it was just different variations of the same question over and over. So I wanted to be clear and concise and each time bring in another part of my game. And I also wanted to like, there were certain statements that I'd said all throughout like the season in my diary room that I wanted to expose to people. So like, I wanted people to know that like, I wasn't someone who just like didn't understand this game. So the statement that I kept bringing up during jury questioning was that this is a zero-sum game. And like, I wanted people to understand that I know that this game is a zero-sum game. Like, that means that anytime someone is winning, someone's on the positive, someone has to be in the negative because the sum has to be zero. So I had to keep bringing up the fact that I was in the positive pretty much the whole game. And as much as that sucked for other people, it was good for me. I also had to bring up like something that I kept talking about, and this was like probably my biggest like strategy in the game, the idea that I talked to you guys about in the viewing party a lot, which was that in a game like this, there's a lot of entropy, there's a lot of disorder, there's a lot of people like Shane and Robbie who like are going to try to control the game and who are going to like blow up if they like get sent out. But like we've got to like nip that in the bud quick, like put the fire out before a wildfire starts. And like that was something that I wanted people to see was part of my game too. Because every time, like when Nathan went home, when Robbie went home, when Shane went home, they were all like, this is the most boring game ever. Y'all are the most boring cast ever. Y'all are so like boring. Like I can't, like, this is so
They have no
crazy.
idea.
But I was like, you guys have no idea what's happening. Like, and that fuel started in me from the minute that Robbie took control like in that round of 8. And I was like, no, like Robbie can't have control of this game. And so like that was like kind of like what fueled that like passion in me starting at that point.
Mm-hmm. And then, so I guess when we wrap up, we have the votes. What votes did you think you had? What votes didn't you think you had? All that.
So I thought after I did the jury questioning, I thought I had more than just 5 votes. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like going into jury questioning, I did not think that I was winning the game. I was like, I just didn't think that I would be able to get it. But after jury questioning, I thought that I had more votes than what I did. I had a feeling Kaylee would vote for me. I had a feeling Connor would vote for me, and I had a feeling Trey would vote for me. I knew
Connor was your biggest ally on the jury. He was fighting for you.
Yeah, and I had a feeling of that. So Kaylee, Connor, and Trey, I knew were going to vote for me. Daryl, I thought he was going to go Alex. I thought Thomas would vote for me because Alex took Thomas out basically, so I thought Thomas was going to vote for me. And I felt like I had Quinn voting for me. I'm glad I was able to change Quinn's mind because Quinn seemed like he had his mind made up before the game, but I felt like I had Quinn. And then I thought it was going to be 5-4 with maybe 5-4 with me getting different votes. I kind of thought Nathan would vote for me because Nathan seemed like he really appreciated my game after the questioning. Mm-hmm. I didn't think Robbie would vote for me. I was shocked Shane voted for me. I needed that vote from Shane. That was one of the people where I was like, if I want to win this, I have to flip a vote from either Robbie, Nathan, or Shane. I was like, I have to flip one of those three. And
Shane was really surprised. He learned a lot about your game through the jury questioning, and that's why it was so important for you.
He was so complimentary of my game too that it just it made me feel like we got into that point of the jury where it was every single person that came in, it kept fueling me more and more. Also, my bottle of wine I was drinking was getting lower and lower, so that helped too. But when Shane came in, I was starting to feel I was okay, Shane appreciates this. Maybe I flipped him, and I was really happy that I did. And yeah.
And then you won.
And then I won.
And then what?
And then I was texting Josh all night. I was I just still don't believe that. I literally texted Josh the words, "I still don't believe this," multiple times. I think it was the strongest finale that has ever happened. It was the closest thing to a Wendell and Dom game of Survivor. And me and Alex even said it afterwards. We were Kaylee was Laurel. Kaylee was the Laurel side who wins. And so it was that relationship I built with Kaylee early on was more important than what I thought it was. And yeah, I was just in shock. I was also asking Josh the whole time. I was what? I don't know Big Brother players as well, but I was wanting to know from Josh, what Survivor winner I reminded him of. Because going into this game, I was ready. I wasn't ready to win. I was ready to call myself the Suri of this game because I was I'm ready to be the best player who's never won this game. That was
Steven has the best comparison because a lot of people would question did Alex make a Wu and Tony decision, and I don't think that he did even a little bit. I think it's very different. And Steven said it's more of a Colby and Tina situation.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's more like a Colby and Tina.
And so, because I think in a lot of worlds, Alex takes you to the end and still wins. If not for your really strong performance there last night, so. I think we could replay last night 100 times and get 100 different results or 50-50.
I think the whole time I was playing, I was I want to play a game like Suri where I am influencing things, but I want to actually win the game. Right. But then at the same time, Kim Spradlin's my favorite Survivor winner ever, and I was I want to play a game like her. I think Alex played a game more like her, even though I wanted to, and then Justin Brock kept texting me telling me that I was playing a Michelle game, which I love Michelle. I value her game so much. So I was that's an honor. But I just couldn't think of what the closest comparison to Survivor was as I was playing.
I'm thinking, and it could be a little bit like Jericho in Australian Survivor, because Alex was kind of your Luke, and it didn't play out exactly the same way.
Spoilers, Gray's watching.
Oh.
I don't even know those names, so.
Okay. Oops.
Nobody and nobody.
No.
What was it? Oh, I'm curious what you think, because you're someone that has for the most part kept up with the history of this game. Where do you think that you land amongst the winners? It's an interesting group.
A juicy question.
I don't know. Like it's hard for me to answer that question because like every single person that's up there is someone I respect so much, right? I think a lot of people that are on that winners list won outright dominant games where they didn't have to like lay as low or like I don't think that they had to face some of the challenges that I faced, right? But then in some ways I didn't have to face the challenges that they faced. I still like and like I'm partial to Sarah just because like I'm like friends with Tyler. Like Tyler's like one of my best friends, and like I just like think it's like amazing that like his mom came out and played this game and like freaking crushed it. Like I just never expected that like when Sarah played this game, like I wasn't even like really like watching closely that season, but whenever I found out she won and that she won in a 7-0 vote, I was like, hell yeah, like that's amazing. And like I had been rooting for her just because she was like one of my friend's moms. And when you go back and look at that season, like she freaking dominated. Like she's played the closest thing to a perfect game in this game.
Yeah.
I also think like Max, like I'm not just saying this because you're here, like you playing the first ever, like getting the first ever unanimous jury vote was like big for you. If I had won the final HOH and taken Kaylee though, then I would have had a unanimous jury vote. So it's like,
and this is, and I think that like it is kind of arbitrary, and I think that you getting taken to the end is a stronger testament to your game
because it was that social relationship that I built and like the social capital I had, and then it means that I had to fight for it at the end. Like I had to fight for it at the end, and I wasn't comfortable the way that some people would have been. Like, I mean, I'm not really confident in like a lot of things in my life. Like I'm always the kind of person who like takes the back seat and like doesn't like brag on myself about things. Like I never want to be that guy who's like, I'm great at this. I've never been that person. But like I do feel like if like you were ranking winners, I would hope that I'm somewhere near the top.
It's hard for me not to think that right now, and I'm gonna sit on it because not that this matters. Like anyone that listens to Rob as a podcast knows that rankings are arbitrary and reductive.
They are, yeah. In the world, this is like an important thing for you. So like
and so I'm gonna think on it, but I have a hard time not putting you. I mean, in that top tier right now with you, Sarah, and like I don't know, like Max and Jenny. Like I mean, there's only 8 of you, so you know, it's you know, there's only so much space. But like what you did in this game in this season with these people and so many people is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, my season only had 12 people. Like you got through 18. It was a buzzsaw. For real.
And it's like I told Josh yesterday, I was like, listen, like if there was like a Mount Rushmore of BBH winners, like I don't need to be listed as like number 1 or number 2. I was like, I just hope that I make Mount Rushmore. Like if there was like an island of the idols, like I was like, can me and Sarah be the ones that are like on the island, like mentoring the players?
Well, and the other thing that you have that no other winner has, and this is whatever, is you're the only one to ever be a returning player winner. Greg was, but that was the all returning player season. So like, you and I think this season had you guys set up really well because there were 6 of you. That's a lot. I mean, but it's still the minority, and so for someone to win, and I said it in my cast assessment, I watched it again, just so that I was like, if anyone was set up to do it, of the 6 of you, I thought it was going to be you. So you did it.
Yeah, and I think it was big. I think it was just like because of like if people knew our games from the first time we played, I was going to be playing one of those games that was like more low key, that people like didn't know my game as well as other people's games. Mm-hmm. Maybe
the fact that 5 of 6 returners made jury was astounding to me.
Yeah. Sorry, Eric.
So
well, anything else?
I can't think of it. I mean, I'm probably like throwing in the hat and retiring now. Like, I don't think I can ever play another Orga game again. Like, I know that you want to do Winners at War, but like I also know that like I'm in the same boat as Jenny. Like, I know that like if you ever do another Winners at War, like there's no way Jenny's playing. Like,
I don't agree with that. I think Jenny's gonna
Max
play.
thinks that she's gonna do it.
I'm gonna, now that I'm in the winner's circle, I'm gonna like convince Jenny to never play again, and like both of us like retire. But yeah, I love this game. This season is the best season you've done. I'm not biased when I say that. Like, if I was watching in the viewing party, I would say that this season was the best season you've done. Your production level is like through the roof. Like, you're freaking killing it. I hope that like 30 people apply to play the 9th season. I hope that more girls apply.
Yes.
It is time for there to be another girl winner. I want Melody from season 3 to come back and win. She deserves it. If you're ever thinking about playing in a game and you just heard me say that, don't let that be a target on Melody. But like, Melody was like one of my favorite people that have played, and like I need her to come back and win this game. I want Abby Baxley to come back and play again. Like,
she will.
Legend. I want more girls to play this and to win, so that there can be like some more in the winner's circle. And
I want Lauren and JLo to play again.
Yeah, 2 icons. Like, Lauren like did not know what she was doing before she came into this and freaking killed it. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
I think her and Jayla could both win. Like, I'm so excited. Like, I tell Josh like literally every day now, like when he does Big Brother Hometowns 10 or even 9, like if you need help, but like 10 for sure. Like, I want to help host that because like I want to be in on the action like the whole time. And,
yeah, you'll really enjoy being on this side of it. It's
I think it'll be a lot less stressful.
Yeah, well, no, it is definitely like because you know everything. Like the knowledge is there. It's a different level of stress. And Robbie says in the comments that he'd like to see Kaylee play again. And I think I agree with that. There's a lot of things I was frustrated with Kaylee about, more just from like being present. But like,
and I just want to say too, like another thing that really helped my relationship with Kaylee in this game was like after like Robbie and Shane like were kind of like talking about like what they're gonna do on the jury, like whenever they got put up, like. There was specifically words said at Kaylee where people were like, Kaylee is like not playing this game. Kaylee sucks. To know what she's doing. And I immediately like went to Kaylee and sent her a message. I was like, Kaylee, I'm sorry that people are saying this. Like, I just want to let you know that like I value you. I value our friendship. Like, this is me outside of the game saying this. Like, no one deserves to be talked to like that. You have been doing good stuff in this game. I think, and what I loved was last night in our like in our after party, like immediately Shane and like others were like, Kaylee, if you played in the Survivor org, like you would win this. And I love that Kaylee like did not know what she was doing coming into this, but I think if Kaylee ever plays again, like Kaylee can win this game. Like, she can win this game, or if she played in the Survivor org, she can do it. I hope that she keeps playing. Now that she knows what she's doing, she could be deadly.
Yeah. I agree with that. Seeing it out, the whole thing now for her, I really think that she has a real grasp on what's going on now. And like even the awareness to say last night, like this was way cooler that Gray and Alex went to the end than if Alex had taken me or Gray had taken me, whatever. Like, we got this real epic showdown because of it. So like that's a high level of awareness. And
she's just someone who I didn't get to know her as well in the game as I wanted to, but like the whole time I just had this perception of her where I was like, Kaylee's just like a badass. Like, Kaylee's like really cool, like really badass. And I'm like, if I next time I visit Josh, like I want to hang out with like Max because he's like so close. But I was like, I also want to hang out with like Thomas and Kaylee. Like, I want like next time I come to like Clemson or Anderson, I was like, I want all of us to like hang out because like these people.
Kaylee is the beatboxer of my acapella group.
Really?
She is from Puerto Rico. She lives in Madison, Wisconsin. She is a log roller. She is she's a music major. She sings. She does everything. It's incredible.
Wow, Alex, you should Max. You should just like ask her out.
Well,
you sound in love with her. All right, I think so. Speaking of the application for season 9, if you're watching and haven't played this game yet, what are you doing with your life? Hit that button, apply.
Do it, please.
Alex just said Kaylee is Debbie from Survivor. She has all these jobs.
Debbie, so wrong.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my
Amazing.
God.
Kaylee is not single. She does have a boyfriend, so unfortunately,
that's a shame.
Sarah said, "How many love connections have come out of BBH?"
None that I know of yet, but
do you and Blue count?
No. If anything, that almost ended our love connection.
Yeah, I think there's been a couple because, like, whenever I played this season again, like I texted Justin Brock and I was like, Justin, please play this season again. He was like, my wife would hate it if I did. And Ashley Dixon posted on her Instagram whenever the night Zach got voted out, and literally posted a story on her Instagram that said, "If you are playing in this Big Brother game, please vote Zach out tonight." And I messaged her and I said, "Done."
Alex.
we did forget about this love connection. Connor. Connor is the epitome of living rent free in Robbie's head.
Yes, Robbie. Connor is literally living rent free. That's such a good way to put it.
Oh
Robbie,
man!
like whenever you said that, Jenny told you that you woke up and you were saying like Alex, Robbie, whatever you were saying. I was like, literally, Robbie's going to be waking up for the next like year, saying like just in the middle of the night, wake up, Connor.
You can't trust Connor. Connor's playing so well. He's the best
like
in this game.
It's like on Fairly Odd Parents, where he's like Dingleberg or whatever.
Yeah, Dingleberg, Connor.
Oh man,
amazing. So yeah, apply for season 9 if you haven't yet. I think we're gonna do another one of these. I think maybe not today, but maybe in the next couple of days we're gonna try and hook up with Alex and talk through his game. I just feel like this season deserves a couple of these deep dive interviews because it's fun to talk through. I think it's good for Gray and good for Alex just to like, process. It's therapeutic for three weeks. This was like consuming probably 90% of their brains.
And it's fun just to chat game, like just to chat a game that we all love like watching, and that you've created like this own like microcosm of this game. Like it's fun to just like see what you've made on a smaller scale from like what we all love on the bigger scale.
Mm-hmm. I agree, and it's fun. It's fun to see the fruits of like this idea that I had on a whim, like one day driving in my car listening to a podcast. I'm like, I just want to, like, I didn't know any of this existed, and I was just like, I just want to make my friends do this. And then like that next weekend, like I had a bunch of people that were signed up to do it that were my friends, and I was like, all right. And then they were like, this could be a thing. I'm like, all right, I'll do it again. And then like, it could still be a thing. All right, I'll do it again. And here we are, charging towards season 10, which is really exciting. So Max is counted. So now there's how many people have played this game now? Like
it's over 70.
Over 70 people have played Big Brother Hometowns, which is really cool. So we won't hit 100 in theory until after season 10 or maybe like season 11 or something. But we'll get there. So
season 20, all people who have ever played play again in the same season.
Season 20, every human being. All right, guys, we're just BSing you at this point. So that's it for us for now. Thanks for watching. And check out the finale edit that's going to come soon. And then I'm going to drop the whole playlist. If you haven't watched this season, you can watch it all. Gray, how much have you watched? Or have you watched any of it?
Episodes? I can watch like the cast assessment, and I watched like the first like 3 episodes, and then I watched like the episode with the final 5 because I loved the voiceover you did where like that was really cool.
I had fun with that. Well, it's funny, that kind of happened organically because this was really creepy. Alex, if you're still watching, I hope you hear this. It was really weird. The final 5 hit, like double eviction ended, we're at final 5, and you, Gray, and Alex both send me a video pretty much talking about how excited you were to make final 5. And it was so weird because you both sent them like within minutes of each other, and they were both 1 minute and 45 seconds. Like both videos. I was like, this is weird. And so then I went to Thomas, Connor, and Kaylee and was like, hey, because I kind of had the idea once you guys kind of like took the like bird's eye view of where you were at in the game. You're like, we made final 5. Like this is this big thing. I was like, I can kind of do something cool with this. So I was like, I'm going to do the hype video for the final 5 because it felt like a new like stage of the game, like past that double eviction. Robbie and Shane are gone. Well, now we're at the end game.
Yeah, it feels like the Survivor finale, right? So like the final 6 are there, and Probst like kind of does like a walkthrough of everyone's game and like sets them up to like here's their story if they win. And I liked that you did that.
Yeah, I thought it was fun.
But my mind's just blown that like me and Alex sent a video in that was the same link. Like
that's how in sync you were.
Yeah.
Hey Jenny.
Hey Gray, so proud of you.
Thank you. I told Josh that I was going to convince you, Jenny, to never play this game again, because I don't want to play this game again. And like, if he tries to do an all-winner season, like me and you need to like be a united front, saying that we're not going to do it.
I already told him he at least had to have 21 seasons before he could do, or one more season than however many people he needed, because I'm out.
We have so many winners here. Max, Jenny, Gray, and
Man.
Sarah in the comments.
Sarah's watching too, yeah,
Oh, and Connor's watching.
and Connor.
So a lot of our winners here. It's a reunion. The
It's a
winners reunion
reunion.
show.
Yeah, let's do it. When you get 10 winners, let's do a reunion special.
Mm.
That'd be
Raise
fun.
your hand if you cried at least once when you played Big Brother.
Just
No, I did not.
Just one time.
Gray, I thought you were gonna cry last night when it ended because I felt like there was like so much emotion when I
It was
read the
very
last vote.
emotional.
Yeah.
So
Alright, I just want you to know that when Josh finally came to bed at like 1:30, I woke up and I was like, "Who won?" He said, "Gray," and I was like, "Cool."
in other words, she wasn't watching.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
All right.
no chance.
I'm gonna go off the stream and then people are still in the comments. We can just hang out. What's the difference?
Yeah.
Anyway.
On a scale of 1 to 10, drop your comment below if Jenny's the best winner of Big Brother Hometowns.
Sarah said she didn't cry. That doesn't surprise me.
Sarah is like stone cold. Like I'm like she literally like I messaged her or I commented afterwards last night. I was like she was rooting for me this season and I like told her I was like you were seriously like my inspiration. Like seeing you win this game like unanimously, I was like I got shoes to fill. Like if I play this again, I want to do as good as Sarah did. So
I'm bitter it wasn't me.
That was unanimous.
well, I mean, I already
Oh,
you were my inspiration in the second season because you were the only winner that I could like, and like, I obviously a lot of our friends. So me and Jenny are from the same hometown, and like we went to high school together and all that. And a lot of
I can find really embarrassing conversations from Gray and I when we were
yeah,
in high
just
school.
go look on Facebook. We didn't text; we commented back and forth. So a lot of like the friends that me and Jenny had that like we're still really tight with knew that I was playing this game and like knew that Jenny had won before, and so like I like in season 2 I was like, oh, well now I have to win so that it's like me and Jenny are the winners and like we can prove to everyone like all of our friends like how cool this is because there was a part of me that thought that like our friend Tyler or our friend Madison like might want to play this one day, but
well, a year and a half later, you fulfilled the prophecy.
yeah, and so that's a good story, good narrative.
Yeah.
Oh, Connor gave me a 10 out of 10.
I did.
Well, Connor's not here, so I can't tell. I'm gonna go off air and I'll text Connor what I want to tell him. I don't want to say it on air yet. So, all right, hanging up here, end broadcast. Thanks for watching.
Bye, Gray.
Bye.